clear by a quarter of a second over August Turbo, who was in one of the Pro-Am cars, but Turbo was there or thereabouts in 2025 as well for M Racing. Then we have Brandon McCochen for Team Virage and Pietro Ferri for LR Motorsport, Jan Duran Olive for Petrogold, Spanish outfit. 2 Team Virage cars come next in JS P4. And the man that certainly will be the one to watch here in Barcelona and quite possibly for the rest of the season is Marcus Tilkenson, who for 23 events racing has taken 2 pole positions in the Ligier JS2 R part of the field. That is for the GT-derived cars. And Tilkenson, an impressive young man from Denmark, the only driver to be in the 149s, in fact. Everybody else 150, 152, 153. But he will have some competition for sure. Simone Bianco put in the LR Motorsport time in Q1 yesterday with a 150.5, and Antonin Bernard for VSF Sports. The cars have just been released then from the assembly area, and a chance for us to officially introduce ourselves for the first time in 2026 for this European segment of the ACO Rules Racing campaign, where we have a huge paddock of not only Ligier European Series cars, but also a big field for the Michelin Le Mans Cup again, and 47 cars in the European Le Mans Series. My name's Johnny Palmer, and I'm delighted to say that once again I am joined by, now there's been a slight role change over the winter, Graham. You are now the dailysportscar.com editor-in-chief. The one issue we have here is that you're not being heard because you've, I think, picked up the middle headset. So let's just try that again. Talk again.
Let's try now.
There we
go.
That's better.
We'll go through that later, maybe. But I'll apologise straight up, by the way. Struggling a little here with tree pollen. And a little bit coughy and spluttery, so it does interrupt proceedings. So I do apologise.
I know that feeling.
Blame nature. 2
years ago, you and I were totally knocked sideways on the Friday of that weekend, and I took that as a warning, Graham. Took about 75 antihistamines before I even arrived in Barcelona, whereas you are struggling a tad. But all you're doing is getting me back for my absence in Portimao, the final race of last year.
Yep.
Well, I didn't even show up on Saturday.
Very poor.
I know. Well, at least you're here. Depends
how
many.
Sort of.
I'm really not sure how many words you're going to be able to utter, particularly by the end of today, because Saturdays are always crammed full of racing. So I'll do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Absolutely. But great grid here for the Ligier European Series. New look JS2 Rs. We'll talk about that more during this race and the rest of the season. But great to see teams back, teams boosting the number of cars, and switching classes as well, very many of them, as well as a couple of brand new teams here this season.
Yeah, so Trajectus and Vincent Boutellier in the number 19 car, definitely going to be one to watch. He shares with Thomas Pompidou, who's also taken pole position with his lap time for qualifying 2. So, in fact, both races will have the number 19 car at the sharp end. If you've done the qualifying, you then have to start the race. That gives the opportunity to each of the drivers, if indeed you've entered with 2 drivers, not everybody has, but each of those 2 drivers will get a chance to start the race, and therefore each driver will get a chance to bring it to the checkered flag as well, if you make it that far, because these are pretty long races, an hour with a mandatory pit stop right in the middle between 27 minutes and 34 minutes. You at least have to have entered the pit lane at that point. Here we go then. Season 7, 2026. It's Heat 1, which covers both races this morning and this afternoon. And the bomb burst of the Ligier European Series suddenly, well, it's not as dramatic as I'd expected. It's relatively well behaved, knowing, of course, that there is a race later on today too, but certainly a good getaway for Vincent Boutellier in that white and black Trajectus racing car. An August Turbo around the outside, trying to net himself second position in the early stages. This is where you need to be easy on your tyres, though, because turn 3 really does treat the tyres pretty badly, actually, particularly when we get into the operating window, because it's a constant radius but fast corner. First, second and third totally together, because right on the heels then of the top 2 is Irishman Brandon McCochen in the number 1 Virage car.
Yeah, we've got yellow flags at turn 3. I think briefly there's going to be a full course yellow, but that's been cancelled. That's the reason why. JS P4 off number 20 car, I believe.
That looked like another Trajectus car, so yes, it would be the number 20 because there are 2 in JS P4. It's certainly not the race leader because number 19 is there.
It's Gabriel Doyle Parfait.
They're exactly the same paint scheme, but just don't get them mixed up because we have one out front and the other one. I'm sure there are subtle differences maybe on the door mirrors. I'm still learning those, in truth. There are the JS2 Rs, and it is Tilkinson, Marcus Tilkinson, who is looking very strong in that number 88 car, having been, well, full second pretty much clear of everybody else in qualifying. Yeah, he did a 149.3. The next best time was a 150.5 offered by Simone Bianco. He drives the number 81 LR Motorsport car, but we're about to complete the first lap. We're immediately, though, into a safety car, and that is mighty frustration for Gabriel Doyle Parfait, who will obviously have been thinking about the race start throughout the night and into this morning, and unfortunately his race has lasted, well, a couple of corners. It might be that with Marshall's help he might be able to get that car restarted. He's not necessarily out of the race. Very neat and tidy start to the season though, Graham Goodwin.
It most certainly was, wasn't it? Great getaway by the pole-sitting man Vincent Boutellier, tracked down towards turn 1 by Auguste Turbo, and it's going to be interesting to see, Johnny, the drivers returning to the series for a second or even a third crack at this, just what the trajectory, as opposed to trajectus, of improvement is going to be for them. There's a moment there for a couple of the JS2Rs as well we've missed in the early running, and it looks to me as if that 20 car is going to require recovery.
Yeah, there was quite a slow first sector for the Veloso Motorsport car, who are an outfit from Portugal.
Brand new team for us this year.
Yes. We have a few local-ish Iberian flagged teams. So Petrogold of Spain, ASM Motorsport return. They're also at their home race to start the season. And as I mentioned, the Portuguese outfit in JS2 R, Veloso Motorsport, with Pedro Marreiros and Jose Marreiros, as the recovery of Gabriel Doyle Parfait's Trajectus car is continuing. I fear that car's not going to go much further, actually. I hoped it might be able to restart in some fashion. There wouldn't be anything ruling that out. It's already got a problem.
Troubled
off
straight
the
away,
grid,
wasn't it?
Graham, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulled to the right-hand side.
So that is a strange one. And it could have been a lot worse, actually, because he was starting right in the middle of the pack, as in ahead of all of the JS2Rs, but thankfully at the rear of the JS P4, so it didn't cause a huge bit of conflagration in the middle of that grid, and everybody else around Gabriel reacted well to that. Hopefully, therefore, this is going to be a relatively short safety car. The race clock ticks by, and you might be thinking, well, why is nobody pitting at this stage? You're not allowed to until 27 minutes into the race, so nobody can make a stop and actually gain from it, as you might be able to in other disciplines of motor racing. And that's pretty much ruled out from the European Le Mans Series and the Michelin Le Mans Cup these days as well, at least for the first 3 laps in the ELMS, because the safety car effectively locks the front door of the pit lane in those races. So double wave yellows everywhere, and this a chance just to ease back the pace a little bit. Unfortunately, it's denying the starting drivers some of their race time, and that will depend on, well, whether some of the Pro-Am or Am cars have put their bronzes in to start with. Actually, that might do them a favour.
Yes, indeed. We're pretty convinced this is going back to green quite quickly. Car is now in a place of safety. It's about whether or not the marshals are back where they need to be before we can go back to full green running.
There was obviously a little bit of contact here and there for those cars midfield as well, because the ASM Motorsport number 12 now is just with a bit of damage on the right rear, bumper hanging loose. Not, I don't think, at risk of falling off completely. If that gets worse, though, there might be a black flag with the orange spot in the middle to say repair that. There is the number 12 car. So it's the back portion of the wheel arch on the rear right, I reckon, which is now slightly askew and could have been some slight contact. I did notice that the number 33 Petrogold car, which runs 5th on the road in the hands of Jan Duran Olive, was in the thick of the action as well, just ahead of Alex Gardner, and then Christian Garduño in another of the Petrogold cars. So Petrogold pretty well placed with their 2 entries. 33 is 5th, number 93 is in 7th. Virage 3rd, 4th and 6th in the early stages. But if Vincent Boutellier can get into a bit of a groove, and potentially August Turbo as well, then we may see those two just open up a gap. But this is the interesting thing. There are known factors, Boutellier and Turbo from last season, and then there are brand new drivers, and we don't quite yet know where they're going to all fit in with one another. Also, some drivers will favour certain tracks, so they will have Barcelona down as a favourite, but not necessarily other venues we go to later on in the season.
With thanks to PR veteran, I don't think he'll mind me calling him that, Martin Pass, he tells us the 20 car had engine issues in FP1, had no flying laps in that missed FP2 and quali. That's the car that Nick Ellis, who did so well in the final round last year at Portimao, should have been sharing, and unfortunately it looks like Nick is not going to make the start here. So unlucky for Trajectoris and the 20 crew.
Well, thanks, Passy. There's obviously not a new issue, therefore. Great run this time for the 5th placed Jan Olive, who darts to the inside of the 4th place car in the first of the 2 dark blue Petrogold cars. There's also a lock up there from August Turbo in 2nd place. Now, did the 57 car make turn 1? Because if you don't, you have to take to the escape road, but it looks like Turbo hung on to 2nd position, and the battle is now well and truly on for 4th place. You've got about 7 or 8 cars for 4th, not quite that many. 5 in total, and the 33 of Olive under huge pressure from Marius Christensen for the Team Virage car number 99. Then Alex Gardner, similar colours from Virage and the Polish outfit. And there's no shortage of passing in JS2 R either, with the 41 car of Antonin Bernard side by side with Trajectoris car Charles Lambert, and Lambert's come up the order if that is number 83, certainly in the Trajectoris colours. 81, that is, I beg your pardon. So 81 is Simone Bianco, who started the race in 2nd and has dropped a couple of positions. And then there's the awkwardly placed number 50 car of Jeremy Loisel, who is effectively 2nd in the JS2Rs, but of course he's in the prototype, the P4, and trying to stay in front of the leader in JS2R, who remains Marcus Terkelsen.
Move up the inside, but may well have done that off track. The number 3 car briefly passed one of the M Racing cars. Now sniffing away the tail end of the 94 is Andrea Frizza in the number 3. Another well-presented car from Luca Gitelli Motorsport, LR Motorsport.
Here's the fight for 2nd and 3rd again, and getting very, very close to August Turbo is Brandon McCochen. So the 1 car turning up the wick with less pressure now behind Brandon, so he can concentrate fully on attack mode. Coming out of turn number 3 now, and under the bridge that we won't mention in this race because they're on a different tyre. This is a fully Michelin shod championship in both JS P4 and JS2R, just like the Michelin Le Mans Cup, funnily enough. There's the number 12. How's that damage doing? It's not really getting worse, but it is starting just to peel away that rear wheel arch, and might not be helped by the incoming Pietro Ferri on car number 12, Luis Carlos Perez Caballo. So they head down that slight decline out of turn 5. The kink at 6 is a corner, but you're not slowing down for it. It's still full throttle, and then you have to hammer the brake because 7 and 8 are very awkward indeed. You're delivered downhill, so compression zone, and you've got to get the car from the right-hand side of the circuit over to the left quickly. Side by side at turn 1 a few moments ago. That was around the outside Andrea Frizza for LR Motorsport, doing battle with David Cosenel, who is mightily experienced in this championship. Cosenel, though, a bronze, and sharing with fellow bronze Alan Meyer in car number 94 for Pegasus.
And Alan Meyer, one of 3 dad and lad efforts, isn't it? But with Jordan, his son, in a different car. We've got 2 fathers and sons sharing cars, and the Meyers in different cars.
Yes, so I mean that could get a bit tasty if they find themselves in the same stint at any point through the course of the year.
Side by side. And also jinking around the mirrors there, the Virage car, looking for a way by.
That, I reckon, is the second Petrogold car, so Christian Garduño in the dark blue, and his moves are being shadowed all the way by Alex Gardner. So that means that these two behind will be Enrique Oliveira and Mika Abrahams, the first ever South African to race in the Ligier European Series. Abrahams sharing with Ethan Faramond in the ANS colours this year, car number 6. So they just threaded their way through turns 1, 2 and 3, and a little further back JS2 R do likewise. Marcus Tilkinson still leading that. And is the margin as large as we might have expected? Well, it's up to 0.7 of a second, so Tilkinson is certainly extending the gap for 23 events racing. Wasn't able to do that with the early safety car, but I'm thinking if in qualifying he can be a full second clear of everybody else, then there could be some dominant victories for the number 88 car, particularly because Marcus is driving solo this weekend. I don't think there's a plan for later on in the year for him to have a co-driver either, and Tilkinson will just know what he has to do, therefore. He's doing the whole 1 hour race, still has to pit. The difference is you've got to pit for 5 seconds longer than the 2 driver lineups. So there is a very slight disadvantage, as then very sideways there coming out of turn 5 was Brandon McCocken, showing you just how hard he's pushing to try and get second place away from August Turbo.
Yeah, trying very, very hard indeed there. One big change, by the way, you mentioned solo drivers, Johnny. Significantly fewer of those in this championship this year, and whilst the number of cars hasn't moved that much this year, the number of drivers has. Significantly larger proportion are now 2 driver cars rather.
Yeah, and there's,
trouble.
Now there's a problem for one of the cars that was involved in one of those
Adrian
scraps.
Bastide.
So actually it's the other ANS car that has been getting stuck in, Mika Abrahams, but Bastide 12th place, at least that's where he crossed the line and began this lap, and now stranded in the gravel.
Start of turn, the start of the very start of the lap.
Yes, it will be. So he completed the final sector in reasonable time, but yes, has lost it close to turn 1. Now, we do not go a full caution yet, but it's turns 1 and 2 where you can't overtake. That allows
safety car deployed. Safety car deployed.
Well, till that point at least. Very squirrely moment though for the Petrogold car in the hands of Jan Duran Olive.
Slow down, leader, slow down.
And that allowed Marius Christiansen through for Virage, back up to 4th place. An unforced error, well, say unforced, I mean, Christiansen was right on there on the tail in an effort to try and force a mistake, and so it came.
Leader 80 kph, please.
Oh, and we nearly had a big incident at the first corner. That was
what number 9.
Yeah, that's precisely how Bastide ended up there. But Bastide so close to piling into the back of what would have been the ASM
leader,
car.
Slow down, leader, slow down. You are going way over 80. Leader, slow down.
So that is Benoit Treluet, multiple Le Mans winner, and the team principal of Trajectus Motorsport, presenting these cars beautifully. Here comes the safety car. Has not picked up the leader at this point.
Leader, slow down. Leader, slow down.
Well, had plenty of messages there from, now is that Ronnie Anderson, who is the new clerk of the course.
Leader, slow down immediately. Leader, slow down immediately.
So the new clerk for the Ligier European Series. Certainly his first name is Ronnie. I'm pretty sure his surname is Anderson. I will check that. Yeah, Treluet. How many times did he win Le Mans? 3?
3.
2011, 2012 and 2014 when he was with
Andrea Lotterer and Marcel Fessler.
Fessler. Yes, that unstoppable trio, indeed so. And Trajectus, the team that he now looks after, seem unstoppable themselves with a total of 4 cars for this season. Sadly for ANS Motorsport.
We have a car in the gravel on T1, drivers left. Drivers bear fully right and slow down. We have marshals, Manitus, and cars exposed. Leaders slow down and bear fully right at T1.
So the instruction is very clear. It's just that Ronnie is struggling to get it heard by everybody, I think it's fair to say. But a lot of new teams, lots of new drivers as well, getting to grips with how these Ligier European Series races will be run. And very important actually for drivers to know the ACO rules way of doing things if you have an intention of moving into the Michelin Le Mans Cup in forthcoming years, and then potentially of course the ELMS and maybe even the World Endurance Championship after that. So this is very much a firm step on the ACO rules ladder, the entry category, and great to see, Graham, that the car stranded down at turn 1 is moving again.
It is indeed, so we do not lose the number 9 car. We'll have lost a lap though. Worth saying too that a big part of the sustaining this push with the Ligier European Series is this fantastic prize fund from Ligier that offers success.
Safety car full speed, safety car full speed.
For the
Reminder
drivers.
to drivers, please keep the gaps below 5 car lengths.
With a significant cash boost moving forward with the Ligier, of course, into the Michelin Le Mans Cup. There's a long list of drivers that have achieved that, and more again this year. So, safety car up to full speed, that indicates we're looking to get
Safety
this
car will
green.
come in this lap, safety car will come in this lap.
So
Drivers reminded, please close the gaps.
a very early call to say this will be the final safety car lap. The 9 will not catch this train.
I just saw it disappearing from the drone shot there into turn 7. So it's got two sectors really in order to catch up, but at least there is an opportunity to close some of that time back again. It's already lost laps, of course, with Adrien Bastide being stranded in that gravel for quite some time, and we are not going to see Gabriel Doyle-Parfait continue after his issue very, very early in the race in car number 20. There is a wonderful view of the circuit here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and
Safety
the near
car in this lap,
surroundings.
safety car in this lap, drivers reminded, close the gaps, drivers reminded, close the gaps.
It's not exactly a city centre venue, but it's very, very easy to get here from Barcelona. There's a local train that runs, and also just a short drive up the AP7 to get here. So trying to get, well, this venue's been here for 30 odd years now, and everybody well aware of it. Unfortunately for this venue, the Spanish Grand Prix is heading to a different position for the time being at least, but the facilities are just continuing to improve, including the hospitality suite, which now sits straddles that straight between turn 9 and 10. You had an early night last night because you're feeling a little under the weather, but a great welcome meeting to all in the organisation. And I've yet to experience a Grand Prix start from that venue, or indeed a race start at all, but I would imagine over there, over the track, it would be an incredible view, particularly of these Ligier European Series cars that are back underway. We still have the best part of 10 minutes before the cars are allowed to pit. In actual fact, it's 8 minutes, and now there's a big spin coming out of the final corner even before racing has begun for the Team Virage car number 14 of Alex Gardner. And I don't think there was contact, but I'd like to see that again. The sister car at Virage is going to go into second place, though. And I have to say, McCockett have been threatening that move for the last few laps. And August Turbo didn't appear to have an answer for him on the brakes into turn number 1. So car 57 will have to think again. There's no doubt that Turbo is quick in certain areas around this Barcelona circuit, but with that Virage car off, sideways and possibly stalled, we might be straight back into a safety car here. There's more contact
as well. 7 on the 6. It was Pietro Ferri on Nick Abrams.
Yeah.
And I think the issue as well, I'm not sure whether or not the 57 has got away. I think it has, but there's damage to that. We have got safety car called again. Damage to that barrier, and that's the damage I was concerned about. There's debris on the start-finish straight. And what happened here?
I think it's on his own, yeah. Out into the gravel, first grasscrete, and in the heat of the morning there's a bit of grip there, but then the problem was that the left side tyres dropped into the gravel track, which sits just the other side of that thin slither of green. This might be an even better view of it. So no contact, but just a tad wide for Alex Gardner, trying to get the best exit possible out of turn 14 and down the longish straight here in Barcelona. And Gardner, the Aussie, spins, and a car taking to the escape road, I noticed there as well. This was the contact which accounted for Mika Abrahams, the nose of the number 7 car, Pietro Ferri. Wasn't really a gap there, but I don't know which car then had to go deep into turn 1 and take to the escape road, where you're not allowed to cut back onto the track at turn 2. You've got to wait for turn 3 and then the outside of that bend to safely rejoin.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to the stage where the headmaster decides maybe a little bit of a chat after the first term shenanigans here.
Yes.
Impressive, by the way, that 14 car did rejoin.
Yeah, okay.
At the back of the... so have a look, there was lasting damage, seen from a different angle. Yes, ran wide, got the power in, and with the left rear wheel on the gravel, the driven wheel, just fired it to the right.
Well, there is a little damage on the left-hand side, as you might expect, but it's peeled away the sponsorship banners, but actually the tyre wall behind that didn't appear to be too badly compromised at all, and it is tyre protected, the pit wall there, so you're not thankfully hitting hard concrete.
It's got some kind of impact swallowing structure in front of it, hasn't it? No, it hasn't. It is just a tyre wall.
Yeah.
That did extremely well.
And I mean, they're a bit, well, they're semi-squished, but to be honest, I don't think the integrity of that tyre wall has been compromised at all. And Michelin will be very pleased that some of those advertising hoardings are being moved away anyway, I would imagine. So, revealing the white in behind, and as long as the 14 car is still behaving okay in the hands of Alex Gardner, then that will continue as well. So I sense this will be a shortish safety car too. If it's out for any more than about 4 minutes, we will be into the pit stop window anyway. But it will be more fun if we can be actually racing by the time we reach the point where you can start to make the pit stop.
Well, the major change, the brief period between those two safety cars was the change for second place. Brendan McColgan has been looking likely to have a bit of a punt. As it turned out, made it look quite easy. Getting past the M Racing car of Auguste Turbo. So it is Vincent Boutellier who's been untroubled in this race so far, Johnny. Then Brendan McColgan, Auguste Turbo, Marius Christensen, Jean Duran Olive, and then Christian Garduno. They're your top 6. The JS2 R, 23 events racing, lead the race. Marcus Tikilson, Charles Lambert for Trajectus sits second in the 83 car, and third is Simone Bianco. Those 3 cars ahead of what has been a sort of pace 3, number 50, Les Arbres car, Jérémy Loisel.
Indeed, and Loisel kind of on that buffer zone between the speed of the JS P4s and the JS2Rs. There from the high drone shot is the incident again for Alex Gardner, the man from Australia, sharing with an Austrian, so it's an Australian-Austrian duo. And whereas Gardner gets the chance to start the race today, this morning I should say, later on today it'll be Gardner in second, and therefore a race start for Simon Schrantz. Both silvers. There's a lot of silver combinations for 2026, but you don't get extra time to serve in the pit stop compared to, let's say, a bronze-silver or a bronze-bronze combination. If you're a 2-driver lineup, you need to be in the pits for 1 minute and 50 seconds. That is from entry point to exit point. So a careful bit of pre-planning and pre-timing has to be observed to know how long it's going to take your car to leave the operating window, to leave where you're based, outside a garage, to then the exit point. It is not as simple as just the time that the car is stationary, for instance. And you've got to be careful not to breach that time. It's a slightly longer time, 1 minute 55 seconds, if you are a solo driver. So that's another reason why Marcus Turkilson is trying to build a gap of ideally more than 5 seconds, so that doesn't affect him heading into his second stint. This is the longish straight out of turn 9, fast right-hander, where we've already seen a tiny mistake from Jean Duran Olive in the 33 Petra Gold car. It lost him a place in the end. And Vincent Boutellier must be thinking, what on earth do I need to do here? I feel like I got a quick car, but initially trying to extend the gap from August Turbo, now having to do it from the number 1 Team Virage car of Brandon McCochen. He's having to do it 3 times over, and we might not be finished yet with the cautions and the safety cars. The other thing is, quite how long is Vincent Boutellier going to be in the car for? They won't be able to pit this time because it's only 26 minutes into the race, but the next time around, the pit stop window will be open. So at least one more lap for Vincent Boutellier in car number 19, sharing with Thomas Pompidou. And Pompidou has impressed many already this weekend. We're back racing, though, for the first race of the day in the Ligier European Series.
There we go, under 34 minutes to go now in this 60-minute encounter. Scarred as it has been by not a few, and is that a change?
Not quite, but it might be for the race lead, because now to the escape road, Vincent Boutellier is going to have to go there. He can't go back onto the track and therefore through those bollards, and he's lost the lead, and that's precisely, well, part of the reason why that escape road is there, so you cannot take advantage. They're still side by side, but yes, the number 1 car of Brandon McCochen was not caught napping at the restart there, whereas the number 19 car possibly didn't get the best getaway. May have started all the way back at turn 14, actually. Didn't have the forward momentum, and a terrific overtake from the Irishman.
It was, pressured him into the mistake, didn't he, into turn 1. From that point, he's got to take the escape road, and, well, a bit like a Joker lap, isn't it? At that stage, there was an inevitability of it.
Everybody else threading their way through. Have there been other changes? August Turbo remains in 3rd position. Marius Christensen for the 2nd of the Team Virage cars is in 4th, number 99. Then it's the 2 Petrogold cars, the blue, the dark blue, one with the yellow door mirrors, the next with red or pink door mirrors for car number 93 and Christian Garduño. Meanwhile, Jeremy Loisel thinks about re-overtaking Simone Bianco, because JS2Rs have Bianco in 3rd, Charles Lambert for Trajectus Motorsport in 2nd, but 23 events racing, and Marcus Terkelsen continues to lead in the number 88.
There's a penalty, by the way, coming for the number 99 car, currently running 4th place for Marius Christensen. There will be 5 seconds added to the pit stop and a 1-point penalty for the start procedure. Same penalty comes to number 20, but that car is out of the race.
Excellent fight for 7th and 8th places, involving Pietro Ferri and Henrique Oliveira, and LR Motorsport and Breton Racing. Breton are new to the Ligier European Series, but a name that we know well from the Michelin Le Mans Cup and other places too. Now, pit stops, as I promised, are beginning, and one of the first to happen is for the slightly damaged number 12 car of Luis Carlos Perez.
Also on pit lane, the 14 from Team Virage. That car brought in by Alex Gardner. This is the car that's had the broadside impact with the pit wall. And racing 68 and the 84 from Trajectus and the JS2 R cars, they're both on pit lane too.
So some early stops, that might be knowing that the pit lane is relatively quiet. Also though, if you've got your, in inverted commas, slower driver in, none of the drivers in this series are slow, by the way, but one is generally on, across the piece slightly faster, and you would want them in for the majority of their stint, or the majority of the time that they can be competing for. So if you can make an early stop, as now the scrapping continues down at turn number 10, that is why a lot of the cars will be heading in nice and early. 7 and 69, and also the 93 car of Christian Garduño, and Garduño has been the big loser there. He drops from, what's that, 5th place back to something like 7th or 8th now.
Seemed almost to stumble into that corner and lost the 2 places before they got to the apex. On pit lane, meanwhile, here come 2 of our leading cars, and the number 19 car had lost another place.
To Turbo as well, yeah, I think you're right. So McCochen was the race leader, and he has not come into pit lane yet. Marius Christensen briefly now up to 2nd place because those in front of him are pitting. But as you say, August Turbo's got ahead of Vincent Boutellier, switching those places as well. So 57, a long time 2nd place runner, is back up to 2nd now. He is being warned about track limits, however. That is just a warning at this point, August Turbo. in number 57, and Turbo is going to switch, so he'll get out, and Cindy Goudet will take over that car. Goudet also racing in the M Racing, but that's a Pro-Am car. Cindy Goudet, bronze rated for season 2026. Big tyre scuff mark there on the side of the number 35 JS2R, Graham.
That shows that we've had some contact, doesn't it?
That's the Veloso Motorsport car, which was in a bit of strife in the early stages of this race. Down the hill, 3 JS2Rs absolutely nose to tail. And also involved there is still the, well, I was about to say Jeremy Loisel car, but actually that may have already come into the pit lane, the Le Douce Arbre car, and Benjamin Fournier will be taking that number 50 car over. Car 50 is indeed in the pits. So that is the recovering number 9 JS P4.
Yeah, trying now to make his way back through the JS2Rs to get back onto the tail end of the JS P4 field.
And Adrien Bastide has a teammate as well in Arthur Agueter.
And through the pit stops, 19 has gone back ahead of the racing car.
Now, is that because we have one driver to concern ourselves about? No, because most of the runners in JSP4 are 2-driver lineup, so quite know whether there may have been a fluff, of course.
Indeed.
Let's hope that the time has not been breached.
Just looking at the relative pit stop times. Trajectus Motorsports' Thomas Pompidou aboard the car now. 1:47 for them. 1:46 for LR Motorsport, Simone Riccitelli. Looking for the M Racing car, Cindy Goudet. 1:49, 2 seconds lost in the pit stop.
Yes. Let's just correct something I said a little earlier, because there is certainly a pit stop reference time of a minute and 50 seconds, but the minute and 50 seconds is if you are with one driver. So actually it's 1 minute 45 seconds for 2 drivers. I went the other way and went to 1:55, but 1:45 is absolutely fine if you've got 2 drivers in your car. And I can't see anybody going quicker than 1:45. In fact, they're all playing it relatively safe. 1:46 is the closest we've got. But again, a chance for teams to learn and quicken their pit stops. But some of the slowest pit stops, there is a 1:59 in the middle of that, the Jeremy Loisel car. And I wasn't expecting Jeremy Loisel to still be at the wheel of car 50. Although, I need to check my very latest entry list to see whether there's been an adjustment in car number 50 to take that back to just a 1 driver.
So away go the 2 Virage cars from their pit stops. 26 minutes to go now in this race. Those 2 cars underway from what was the lead at that stage. McCocken handing over the number 1 car to Sebastian Corpeng. The number 99 car now in the hands of Arnaud Milizia. My apologies. 23 events still leading in JS2R.
And yes, Jeremy Loisel is solo driving this weekend. He's the only car to have just the 1 driver in car number 50.
I was super fast. Like when they beat it, I was catching so much.
So
feedback there at Breton, which I was intrigued to kind of hoodwink into, but that was the outgoing Breton driver, Enrique Oliveira, the Portuguese.
Okay, so back now, starts to wind back into the correct relative order. Just see how close Thomas Pompidou is to Sebastian Corpeng. 25 minutes to go, and I think the answer is about 3.5 seconds. And that comes courtesy of, how quick should that pit stop have been?
1:45. 1 minute 45 seconds is as quick as you could possibly be. We have a 1 minute 44.
And it's the leader.
And it's car number 1. No longer in command of Brandon McCocken. Instead, Sebastian Corpeng takes over. Now the 68 car's off the road though, Graham.
That's number 68 car, and Racing's Mason Huet. Way down the order in 10th, but that is deep in the gravel. I think that will require recovery, and we are used to what that will mean here. That's likely to see the safety car redeployed.
Well, on the track map, you could see briefly there where the affected area is. That's out of turn 4. Here's side by side is the fight for 4th and 5th, no, 5th and 6th places for Cindy Goudet now in the 57 M Racing car, and Scott Marsh in behind in the Petrogold colours. Not particularly gold, they're very smart navy blue.
They do look good.
Yeah.
Petrogold cars. Suits this JS P4 form very well indeed, that livery. There is the incident site, and I don't think it's going to be long before we get an intervention here.
So obviously no overtaking past where the incident has happened.
We saw just briefly, looked to have happened entirely on his own.
So Nathan Huet, who has taken over from Laurens Herbot, the Belgian, Huet Frenchman, who gets on board, but unfortunately does not stay on the black stuff for too long, and the safety car is about to be deployed again.
Yep. One quick update, by the way. We're talking about Sebastian Kopeng and the potential for this to be an issue of a short pit stop. Chasing him, Thomas Pompidou, now aboard the Trajectus number 19. Anybody with a few grey hairs, as I have, more than a few, will recognise the surname. Thomas is indeed the son of Xavier Pompidou, long-time sports car racer, a range of machinery, GT and LMP. Did great things with the Seba team, if you like, the start of the Rebellion Racing story with Xavier Pompidou. Not seen Xav here so far this weekend. I'm told he is here. Good to catch up with him later in the season.
Well, I mean, again, Pompidou's lap times speak volumes, because in qualifying 2, to put his car on pole position, the number 19 car that he shares with, as the safety car comes out, shares with Vincent Boutellier, who did the first stint in this race. Pompidou did a 1:43.8 in qualifying 2, and that was almost a full second clear of anybody else. Sebastian Kopeng was the nearest with a 1:44.7, so a gap of 0.921 of a second. So again, Pompidou could be about to do a Marcus Terkildsen in the equivalent JS P4 battle. But one thing being very quick on a Friday in sometimes both qualifying sessions, can you necessarily translate that into consistent lap times across a race? And of course, you can only do, for the most part, you can only do half of it, because most of these drivers' lineups are 2 now. So you can have a very quick one side of the garage, but is your co-driver going to be up to that equivalent challenge for a full season? This hopefully is going to be a quick recovery again for the number 68 car of Nathan Huet.
It looks like that car will return.
Yes. So onto the grass at least, and yes, it has restarted. It can continue, but for Nathan Huet, losing at least 1 lap on the race leader. But at least with the safety car, Nathan can catch up with some of those JS2Rs. He will have to overtake them twice, though, to actually change his position on the road now, which seems unlikely with only 21 minutes on the clock remaining. Sebastian Kopeng leads now for the number 1 Team Virage crew.
But potentially with a problem.
Yes.
Hearing pit stop for the 35 is under investigation. Well, that's... It's the 10th place car of Veloso Motorsports, and they're at 150. So that shouldn't be in terms of the time, so it could be whatever else has actually happened.
Safety car will go full speed. Safety car will go full speed. Please, reminder, close the gaps. Close the gaps.
So another little word in the ear for everybody. You can have no excuses that you do not fully understand the rules, because of course there will have been a full driver's briefing, and then to check those important points in the middle of the race. The drivers aren't necessarily hearing Ronnie directly, but a good team manager will be relaying all of those instructions and just continuing to confirm, so it cannot be forgotten. That's a great view of the various kind of complex corners at the end of the long straight there into turn 10.
Drivers reminded, please close the gaps.
So again, a reminder that the gaps must be as tight as possible before we return to racing. That won't be at this lap. One more for the safety car, so after 19 laps into the race. Remember that ANS Motorsport are the defending team's champions after a great season from Maxwell Dodds and Eco Segre last year, where they took 3 wins, 4 second places and another podium result as well. But crucially in that whole season, just the 1 retirement, so regularly picking up points.
Safety car will come in the lap, safety car will come in this lap.
And then in JS2R, it was a championship eventually for Simone Riccitelli for LR Motorsport. He was the driver's champion because there were 1 or 2 changes within the co-driver situation in LR Motorsport's crew. But he ended up winning by just 3 points over Lucas Papin for VSF Sports, and VSF are back in force in 2026 as well, having a good race to this point because Daniel Dalakian and Anthony Kibodo for VSF Sports are running 2nd and 3rd, and right on the tail now of Charles Lambert. So Trajectus Motorsport currently lead. Where, I hear you ask, is the 23 events racing car slipping back to 5th position because of those extra 5 seconds that Marcus will have had to have served in his pit stop, and these safety cars are just not giving him the chance to even overtake, let alone extend a lead, which he had comfortably in the first stint.
Yeah, somewhat scarred by incident, this first race of the season, not giving us the opportunity to some of the excellent racing we saw in 2025. That will surely come. Remember, this is the first of 2 races this weekend. Join us again for the 2nd race of the Ligier European Series later today.
Yeah, so it's a quick turnaround. All the racing is done in the Ligier European Series on the whole by Saturday late afternoon. And Sebastian Kaupeng now having to warm things up as quickly as he can, as we will go back to racing on this lap. So they hurtle their way down the hill out of turn 13 through turn 14, but strictly no overtaking until you cross that control line. And this gentleman with the green flag, as the cars then stream over the line, and the Petrogold cars are side by side briefly. That is Scott Marsh ahead of Andre Dunia. And in fact, Ethan Faramond managed to get briefly in between them there in the number 6 car.
He's managed it. There's also an attack here for the 69 car. Tries around the outside. I think may well also be onto terms with the Petrogold car. Not quite managed it there. Looks at the inside here. That move not done yet. 19 car looking to get onto terms with number 1, but the 7 from LR Motorsport now in the hands of Simone Riccitelli in the mix there too. Still side by side the Petrogold cars.
So intense action, and of course now this has turned into effectively a 20-minute sprint race to the finish. Riccitelli knows how to win a title, so he will entirely know the best place to be putting his car. But remember that Riccitelli was a champion in the GT derived cars, the JS2 Rs. JS P4 is a new bit of kit that he's having to get his head around. Across the line at the start of this lap in 3rd position, but definitely the number 7 car is one to keep our eyes peeled for.
We'll say, by the way, that we've now seen on our screens car 1 under investigation, pit stop handicap infringement. That is our race leader. So Thomas Pompidou close to half a second back, but may not need to make that pass on track.
Long look up the inside there from Dan Scotch de Pola in the Breton racing car, I should say. And the 69, the black and white car, trying to apply the pressure to Scott Marsh in number 33. There's a brief glimpse of Simon Schrantz, who's taken over from the earlier spinning Australian racer Alex Gardner. And Schrantz is still on the lead lap, so that's testament to how quickly Gardner was able to recover his spin out of turn 14, where he actually briefly scraped the tyre barrier to his right, but restarted and still on the lead lap.
Good news for Thomas Pompidou, bad news for car 7, the LR Motorsport car of Simone Riccitelli. Drive-through penalty for the 3rd place car, causing a collision at turn 4. So the car that's currently putting the 2nd place man and the de facto race leader here, we believe, if that penalty does come through for the number 1, is going to have a drive-through penalty.
The pretty much all black number 88 car is Marcus Terkelsen in 23 events racing, so he's already up to 4th position, getting ahead of Noah Rosser for LR Motorsport. And Terkelsen should be quicker than at least the next 2 cars ahead of him on the road, but it's one thing being quicker, you've got to find the opportunity to safely overtake as well, and he hasn't got much time to play with as a whole handful of JS P4s head out of turn number 9, that fast right-hander, and deep in defensive mode is Cindy Goudet, putting the car right in the middle of the track because she's got pressure from Sascha Van't Pad Bosch now, Dutch driver, right on the tail in the semi-damaged number 12.
Yeah, Cindy's car, though, under investigation for pit lane speed. Let's see how that one turns out. What is encouraging, it has been an incident-scarred race, Johnny, but the racing's properly close.
Yeah. And what I like is that we're seeing speed from so many different cars, arguably more than last year in this opening race of the season, which promises potentially multiple winners. Here, though, is the number 7 car of Simone Riccitelli on pit road. So we said he was having a good race till this point, but that's going to end now. Down to the first corner again. Van't Pad Bosch has made the move on Cindy Goudet to elevate the ASM Motorsport car up to 4th position now.
Yeah, that drive-through penalty from number 7 came so close to the end of the safety car that it's dropped into the back of the order. This is that change you've just been describing, Johnny. Neatly done up the inside, then pressuring the 57 car into the braking zone. Under pressure now from the number 6 car behind now Cindy Goudet. This is Ethan Theramond in the number 6 ANS Motorsport car, looking to try to get the 6th place from Cindy Goudet. Does that with a neat pass up the inside.
Marcus Terkelsen in the black, red and white car, now ahead of, well, certainly ahead for a 4th position, but he's trying to muscle Guy Bodo out of the way for VSF Sports. Got down the inside at turn 4. There was wheel-to-wheel contact, it looked like. Let's hope that's not done any actual damage to the wheels. It might just been a glancing blow between the wheel arches of each car, but certainly a tad bit of contact. And Terkelsen, as far as I can tell, still hasn't made the move. No, he's still behind Gerbodo, the car he was attempting to overtake, but that is nip and tuck. And in the time that he's not able to get by that first VSF Sports car, first from his perspective, although second on the road, and third in the JS2 Rs, even if he does get ahead of Anthony, he's got 2 more cars to overtake to get back to the race lead in JS2R. By the way, the graphic at the bottom, which briefly confused me, that says last lap, that was the last lap completed rather than us actually being on the last lap of the race. Still got 11 minutes or so to go before we reach that point. And here is the race leader, Sebastian Kaupeng, in car number 1. But Thomas Pompidou, so impressive in his qualifying session yesterday afternoon, took pole position for today's later race. And Pompidou does look the quicker of the 2 cars, but he's got to, again, find the best place to make an overtake. Can he, in fact, use the traffic here? Because there's a JS2R which compromised the exit speed out of turn 5. Easy stuff in the end, down to turn number 7. And part of that was down to Sebastian Kaupeng not able to exit turn 5 as efficiently as he might have done had the track been clear.
And as that pass happens, up on my screens here, car 1 stop and go plus 1 second penalty. Pit stop infringement for car 1. So even without that pass, it would have gone, but it was a neat, tidy, very clean pass. Impressively so from Thomas Pompidou.
So in the end, academic, but Pompidou would want the bragging rights, I'm sure, to have done it on the road even before the penalty has its say. Terkelsen still behind the second of the 2 VSF sports cars, the 3rd car in the category. Terkelsen very late on the brakes, though, down into turn number 10, and I think he's just about got that done now on Anthony Gerbodo. Although Gerbodo's going to come back again. No, still not completed, because into turn 12, that will favour the VSF car, and back up into 3rd place goes Gerbodo. Good little tussle this. and will be frustrating for Terkelsen, who again is probably the quicker of the two. Overtake potentially there as well. That's the 93 of Andre Dunia down the inside of Cindy Goudet at turn 1.
Also, the number 1 car, Sebastian Courpeng, takes that stop and go, drops him to the back of the order. So potentially costly this early in the season, losing a hatful of points with that penalty. 9 minutes to go, and not a lot of time to recover ground either.
The fastest lap, by the way, you don't get an extra point for fastest lap, but that still stands from Vincent Boutellier being at the wheel of the number 19 car, which is now in the hands of Thomas Pompidou, but 145.7 is yet to be improved upon.
And Racing's number 68 car. Ivan Muller, the team owner, taking a look around. Problems for the 68, dropped down to the back of the order. Car 57, a drive-through penalty for pit speed. That is Cindy Goudet, and it's not gone her way in the second part of this race. Has been dropping places, and now will drop to the back of the field. That drive-through penalty. That's also the same penalty for the 94 car, Johnny. That is the Pegasus Racing car. They've been quiet today. Pegasus Racing running 10th in JS2 R. It's a pair of JS2Rs running with the Sky Blue of Pegasus Racing this season.
Both the Meyers in each of their cars now, so the father and son duo, and in fact they therefore are, or perhaps choosing to be in their stints at the same point, but in different Pegasus Racing cars. But as you say, 7th and 10th currently, and set to get worse for Alain Meyer after he has served that drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
7.5 minutes now. Thomas Pompidou is pulling away from the second-placed ASM number 12 car of Sasha Van Pat-Bosch. 5.3 seconds is the gap. Arnaud Malizia running third for the 99 car from Team Virage. 1.5 seconds back.
And there's the 29 Pegasus car fighting away itself with Jack Tabarry in the Trajectors Motorsport colours. Scrap for 5th and 6th, still rather lively as well. Dan Scotch de Pola in the Breton Racing number 69, not very far away from Andre Dunia for Petra Gold. And Dunia in the middle of the track again this time. That was the sort of defensive line that Cindy Goudet was taking not so long ago. Not sure whether it's necessarily going to work for Dunia as we now concentrate on this car serving its drive-through. Alain Meyer.
93 and 69 still in this battle for 5th place. Dunia and Scotch de Pola.
Scotch de Pola gets the place, in fact, the Czechia driver. So Breton Racing up another spot, and Scotch de Pola is, well, initially I thought driving on his own, but I think that has been adjusted because he didn't start that car. It was his teammate Henri Oliveira, that's right, who was pretty chuffed, well, in part with his opening stint. There's a little to learn, I think, as well for the Portuguese racer.
You can see that pass again. Yeah, the cut back up the inside, robbing the Petra Gold driver of the opportunity to claim the apex. Neatly done by the Czech driver, through to take that position.
Bit of curb, even a bit of grass taken by Dan on the inside, but wasn't significantly off the road to breach track limits. The left side tyres were still the correct side of that white line, I would say, turn 12.
Sebastian Courpeng, by the way, has recovered a lot of the ground. He's passed now the leader in JS2R. It becomes more difficult, of course, from here on in to make progress up the order. And with just 5 minutes to go, I'm not sure there's much more that can be done to repair the damage done by that penalty for the short pit stop for the number 1 Team Virage car.
Marcus Terkelsen, having dominated qualifying actually in both sessions yesterday, would not necessarily expected to finish this race potentially in 4th position, but he's hit a bit of a stumbling block here. Anthony Kibodo is not consistently faster than the Dane all the way around the track, but he's fast enough to stay ahead of car 88 at this stage.
It's been the battle of the race so far there with this pair, because the 88 has been ahead of him a couple of times. 18 has reclaimed the position. Here we go again up the inside. Again, up ahead at that point. Is it done now? Again, a JS P4 in close contention, but I think this time the 88 car has made it through and clear. Third place now for the recovering previous race leader, the 88 car.
So, on course for a podium now with just under 4 minutes to go, and the next VSF car that Marcus will be targeting is just a bit further up the road, within that shot in fact, and that is Daniel Dalakian. So VSF's number 41 car is certainly catchable and should be able to overtake, well, got enough time to at least attempt an overtake there. The problem then for Marcus is that Charles Lambert is just too far in front for Trajectus Motorsport without a significant mistake from Lambert, and Trajectus therefore on course at the moment for a double win in this opening race of the season.
Indeed, Thomas Pompidou is pulling away at the head of this race, 7.5 seconds to good and more. Fastest lap of the race indeed last time around, a 1:45.585 for the young Frenchman. 3 minutes to go, and it is teammate Charles Lambert that leads in the 83 car in JS2 R and holds, let's have a quick look, what is the gap there? Or over 2 second gap with a JS P4 in between to Daniel Dalakian with Marcus Tekilsen closing in. That might well be up for grabs by the end of this race. There you go. That is that battle, looking for a way by now for that second place. And there is the race leader, by the way, just ahead. The JS P4 that was in the mix, he's done exactly the same thing to grab second place as he did to grab third last time around. And he'll be thinking, I'm sure, to himself, why did I make such hard work of this for the last 10 minutes before that? Because he looks like he's going to close on the leader, but we're inside the last 2.5 minutes.
Dalakian just defending a bit too late there. He needed to be further across the road and wary of a potential overtake from Terkilsen, but it was too late to pinch, and now the VSF cars might change positions because that is far from the best exit out of turn 14 for Dalakian. So the two VSF cars in slightly, well, significantly different liveries, which is going to be helpful for us throughout the course of the year. They're going to enter turn 1 side by side. Swooping around the outside is Gibodo, and I think he's got the move done.
Yeah, it's beautifully done, wasn't it? And clean as well, which will be a relief to the 88 car. Won't be happy to see the 41 car rather. Won't be happy to see the other car go by, but no contact there.
Yes, those down at VSF would have been closing their eyes or watching the race between their fingers, hoping that their two team cars didn't start to scuffle amongst themselves.
Tekilsen is with the leader here. That gap has closed very quickly. Big lock up there from the 41 car. Dropping further time to the podium battle ahead of him.
Well, this is called as the last lap, at least for the JS P4 leader. And where is that leader, having gone down into turn number 1 now?
It's a lap and a half for the
JS2 R.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that it's not just the
This
completion
is the battle
of this lap. And Terkilsen loves the next corner. Down at turn 10, having pulled off 2 cracking overtakes there already.
This is a hot
knife through butter style. Terkilsen to the 4, and there's absolutely no answer for Charles Lambert. He can't stay to the right-hand side as Gibodo was able to do for VSF for that third place fight. And Terkilsen, well, he might have left it late, but he's actually been able to do it a full lap before these JS2Rs will see the checkered flag, because they'll come out of turn 14 now and still have to complete a further 4.6 kilometres, and Terkilsen doesn't need to look back. He can just concentrate on extending this race lead.
What a couple of laps from him. Doesn't that bode well for what we've got to come for the rest of this season? After making pretty hard work of getting by the number 18 car for, what, 4 or 5 laps, all of a sudden he unlocked the code, and boy oh boy did he make that pay. Thomas Pompidou, meanwhile, 9 seconds to the good now. This is the last lap. And that's been an impressive finish to this race, coming now through turn 13 to the final turn, Johnny.
Through an awful lot of gravel which has made its way onto the racetrack, but that will not concern Thomas Pompidou, who, along with Vincent Boutellier, have driven a stellar race. Boutellier beginning things from pole position. He tried several times to open up a gap, which was compromised every time the safety car came out. But then Thomas Pompidou took the race by the scruff of the neck, and with grins from Benoit Treluet down at Trajectus Motorsport. Pompidou and Boutellier are the first winners of the season in the Ligier European Series from the ASM Motorsport gang at car number 12, and Team Virage get a car on the podium in the first race, number 99, finishing in third position.
Here comes the 23 Events racing car. The number 88 car takes just pops by a back marking number 94 for good measure, puts a car between him and his nearest contender. But that's some last couple of laps for Marcus de Kilson.
Yeah, and although there was looking like there might be pressure for Kilson, actually the back marker is going to really spice up the fight for second, third and fourth in JS2R. This lot could change very easily. Kilson's going to comfortably take the first race of the season. There he is in the distance in the number 88, the black, red and white car crossing the line now with the solo drive. Second position will go to Charles Lambert, but only by just under 0.2 of a second. Ahead of Anthony Guibaudot in the VSF sports car number 18, and slightly fading towards the end, Daniel Dalakian in the second of the VSF cars. But Marcus Kilson, as I say, driving on his own. However, the 83 car for Trajectus was also actually a solo drive from Charles Lambert in a relatively late change to the entry list there. VSF complete the podium with car number 18, Maxime Aparicio starting that car with Anthony Guibaudot in second. But Guibaudot impressed me there too, because he was able to fend off the early advances of Kilson. Then he overtook his teammate Daniel Dalakian, and Anthony Guibaudot will be one to reckon with in 2026 as well, for my money.
Overall, the race win to the number 19 Trajectus Motorsport car. Thomas Pompidou bringing that car home after an opening stint from Vincent Boutellier. And eventually a convincing win for this effort. But, all sorts of factors to take into consideration, including, I don't know how many safety cars, was that 5?
We certainly had 3 in quick succession, and then a 4th. It's 4 or 5, yes. Which is highly unusual, actually, for the Ligier European Series. Generally very clean racing, but I think your point about the first day of term is valid. And let's hope that that is just confined to the first race of the day. You always get some fascinating headgear from the members of the RACC here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Terrifically hard-working track marshalling staff at each of the corners, and also in the various fire tenders and rescue units that are sometimes required. Very quick recovery of a lot of cars, actually, stranded in awkward places in this first race of the season. So we're incredibly grateful to our marshalling team as well.
Well, whatever you can say about some of the standards up and down the field, great wins in both classes there. Vincent Boutellier and Thomas Pompidou, my apologies. You can see they're in 10th. That's what that drive-through cost Sebastian Corpeng and Brendan McCorkin. 46 seconds back, and that came courtesy of that short pit stop.
And the win for Marcus Kilson looked unlikely, actually, with about a lap and a half to go. I thought he would easily make the podium, but hadn't realised that the car eventually needed to overtake Charles Lambert was just a bit further up the road. Whether that was a slight mistake from Lambert to bring him back into the clutches of the Dane, we will find out at a later point today. But many stories to follow up before we are racing again later on this afternoon for the second of the Ligier European Series races. But a chance to refresh your memory there after a frantic affair for the last 60 minutes, with Vincent Boutellier leading them off in Season 7. but some hard pressure from August Turbo in the early stages of this race. Turbo on, and then the early expiry, sadly, of the sister Trajector's car after that had problems coming into today's race day. So that brought out our first safety car, and also some wayward JS2 Rs in the very early stages that would get going again, including the number 35 of Pedro Marieros. But there, sadly, was the expiry of car number 20 for Trajectors Motorsport. It means that Nicholas Ellis will have to wait till much later in the day for his first stint. Then the damage which created some scuffing on the rear right and rear right of car number 12, and the off-track moment for number 9 down at the gravel for Adrian Bastide. Arthur Aguirre did, though, eventually get into car number 9 for ANS Motorsport. This was a peculiar moment, actually all done on his own for car number 14, Alex Gardner. Just a bit too much tyre into the gravel, and clearly no grip out there, with the rear left wheel spinning far faster than the other 3 wheels on that wagon, spitting him into the barrier. But amazingly, Alex Gardner got back into the race very quickly indeed, and Simon Trantz was able to do his stint on the lead lap. Then we had a couple of cars take to the escape road. A more significant car later in the race would do that. Contact out of a restart for the number 6 and the number 7 cars, and that would be a half spin for Mika Abrahams. And then at the next restart, a terrific getaway from Brandon McCocken. And here was, unfortunately, the moment where Vincent Boutellier would have to take to the escape road and concede the race lead to McCocken, the Irishman. Good squabbling down at turn 10 as well, with the Petrogold car in the thick of the action. Both the 33 and the 93 Petrogold cars involved. A spin then for the M Racing car of Nathan Huey out of turn 4, as at Breton Racing, Enrique Oliveira got out and Dan Scott Giapola got on board. Then Marcus Terkelsen, given the challenge to go from 5th to eventually the win in the space of about 10 minutes, as again the ding-dong fight between the 19 and the number 1 cars continued, this time with different drivers. First car on the list of Terkelsen would be to overtake Anthony Gibodo. He would need a couple of attempts at this, though, because Gibodo came fighting back on the inside of turn number 12. So Terkelsen needed some patience early on in his car racing career, as over the line the 2 Petrogold cars would go again. Then VSF Sports, having been overtaken by the number 88 JS2 R, 23 events racing car. The VSF Sports guys switched positions, and that was very harum-scarum stuff, but they managed to do it without any contact. And finally, despite almost being written off by me, thinking he wouldn't have enough laps left to take the race lead, Marcus Terkelsen proved us wrong, charged down the inside at turn number 10 to get to the race lead. And as Thomas Pompidou crossed the line together with his teammate Vincent Boutellier to take the first race win of season 7 in the Ligier European Series in the JS P4s, the JS2R win would go to Marcus Terkelsen, having had to do it the hard way and overtake 4 cars in the closing stages. So that is the scene at the end of the first Ligier European Series race, and I can tell you that the second race for these cars will begin at 5 minutes to 2 this afternoon. So 1:55 will be on air at 1:50 for the build-up. Bye-bye for now. So that is it.
Okay, hello everybody. How about welcome to the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. This is the podium, the first race, Ligier European Series. Attention, the first podium category, JS P4 and overall. Okay, in third place, number 99, Team Virage, Marius Christiansen and Arnaud Malizia. Le pilote français and Marcus Christian from Denmark. The second place, number 12, Spanish Catalan team, AS Motorsport, Luis Carlos Pérez Cabello desde México, vámonos ahí manito, y Sasha van Papos from Netherlands, congratulations. And the winner, the category JS P4, the winner number 19, Trajectus Motorsport, Vincent Bouteiller and Thomas Pompidou. In honor of the winner, we will listen the national anthem of France. Ok. Félicitations. Ok, merci. Félicitations. Écoutez la Marseillaise pour l'équipe française. The 99 Team Virage, Marius Christiansen and Arnaud Malizia. Give trophy. Photo. Ok. Up the trophy. Marius Christiansen, Arnaud Malizia. The winner, the second place, Luis Carlos Pérez Cabello, el mexicano, con Sasha van Bosch from Netherlands. And the third place, per aquest número 99 de Christiansen amb Malizia, i el guanyador, recordem, the winner con Vincent Bouteiller and Thomas Pompidou. Félicitations pour aussi l'équipe Trajectus Motorsport. Only one winner. The next podium, JS P4 Pro-Am category. The winner number 57, M Racing from France, Auguste Terbo from Denmark, and Cindy Goudet from France. Congratulations, winner JS P4 Pro-Am category. Give a trophy. Okay, the trophy, up the trophy for the photo. Okay. The winners, JS P4 Pro-Am. The last podium, the JS P4, the AM category, the next podium. Okay, doncs ara sí. The last podium, JS P4. New bottles. Champagne. Okay. JS P4 category. Winner number 50. Número 50 para Les Deux Arbres. Jérémy Loisel. New battles, the next podium, the second category, the Ligier European Series, JS2 R, the first podium overall category. Okay, let's start. JS2R category. In third place, number 18, WSF Sports, Maxime Apparition from France, Anthony Givaudan. In second place, number 83, Trajectus Motorsport, Charles Lambert. For France, il y a le pilote français en la deuxième position. The winner, JS2R, number 88, 23 events racing, Markus Terkelsen from Denmark. In honor of the winner, we will listen the national anthem from France. Ok, félicitations pour l'équipe française. Écoutez la Marseillaise. This is the podium. The winner and team principal. Markus Terkelsen from Denmark. In the second place, 8-3, Charles Lambert. C'est pour le pilote français, la deuxième position et la troisième position, numéro 18, Maxime Apparition, Anthony Givaudan. C'est pour la même équipe. La première position, JS2 R Pro-Am, numéro 18. 18. Maxime Apparition and Anthony Givaudan. Pro-Am category. The winner. Félicitations. Foto, esta foto Michelin Bibendum and winners the Pro-Am JS2 R. The last podium, the first race, the Ligier European Series JS2 R AM category. New battle, new trophy. Okay, the winner JS2 R AM category 94. C'est pour l'équipe française Pegasus Racing, David Cousanel et Alain Meyer. Ok, this is the last podium, le dernier podium de la catégorie JS2 R. Félicitations pour l'équipe Pegasus Racing, David Cousanel and Alain Meyer. Ok, finish the first race, new season, the Ligier European Series 2026. 3 o'clock. The second race, the podium here in the paddock. Por tanto, aconsejamos también a todos, a las 3 más o menos será el momento de que finalice la segunda carrera de la Ligier Series, que solo corren el sábado. Por lo tanto, más o menos a las 3 tendremos la competición, el último podio de la Ligier European Series en este paddock del circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Moltíssimes gràcies a tothom i tornem. Enhorabona als guanyadors. See you later from 3 o'clock, the second podium, Ligier European Series. Thank you.